Hey, it's Eric from Chasing the Sun. Do you think you can tour with a super naked bike like the Tuono? Let's get to it right now. Alright, so I was riding back from a weekend trip on my Aprilia Tuono, and it dawned on me that a lot of people don't think about it as a touring bike. Which is true, because it's not a touring bike. The Tuono started as the Aprilia RSV, which is their super bike that they've won lots of race titles with. And they basically took that engine and increased the torque a little bit and put riser handlebars on it, a bit more comfortable, and then it became the super naked that is the Aprilia Tuono. Now the Tuono is a reviewer's favorite. If you look at MCN, motorcycle.com, all of them, when they rate them, they keep on being the crowd favorite, and for good reason. But really, it's a super naked. So can you really tour with it? Well, I do, but it really is a super naked. Lots of power, no wind protection, really good for the streets. But this is what bugs me. It's got a lot of power, which if you only use in the streets, is kind of useless. This machine is well appreciated if it's out in the twisties, carving the canyons, and really taking the open road. That's why I chose to tour with it. And whether it's right for you, it really depends what kind of touring you want. Touring has a wide spectrum from comfort to sport. On the comfort spectrum of things, you've got, of course, the king of that class, the Goldwing and the BMW R1250 RT. And then on the sport side of touring, you've got the Ducati Super Sport, you've got the KTM Super Duke, and you've got a few other sport touring motorcycles. So it really depends what you like when you go touring. Are you a comfort type of person? Then you're looking at the big cruisers, possibly, or the Goldwing, or even the adventure touring like the GS's. But if you're like me, that likes the twisties and likes the canyon roads while getting your destination, then a sport biased touring bike would be perfect. Now, when I bought the Tuono, I was considering all of my options, and there wasn't really anything that ticked my box. I like performance. I came from a sport bike background and I've had lots of sport bikes, but this one I would say tops every single sport bike I've ever had. It is so planted in the corners. It's crazy performance, lots of power, lots of torque. It's right there when you need it, and I really appreciated that. So I knew I wanted to ride this, but I also like long distance touring. So there's a catch, right? How do you take a super bike or super naked and turn it into a touring bike? That's essentially what I did. So here are a few things that I did to make it more touring friendly. First of all, the little windshield that comes with it, about yay tall, had to go. The tallest that I found was the Power Bronze windshield, and unfortunately there isn't many options for this. This is a 2018 1100 Tuono, the V4, and too bad this generation really had only Puig and Power Bronze making the windshields for it. The generation before this actually had a few taller options, and the current generation, the newer one, there's actually a factory touring windscreen that comes with it. So unfortunately this one doesn't have it, but you know, I'll take what I can, and the Power Bronze was the best I can get. What I also did was put saddlebags on them. Now Aprilia themselves do not make factory saddlebags, so I use some soft saddlebags. The problem with soft saddlebags is there's no frame to it and there's no rigidity, so it scratches on your fairings. So what I did was I actually custom fabricated these metal plates. This is the metal bracket that I had to make to keep my saddlebag from not scuffing the side. And these are custom made to fit the Aprilia. All I did was take off these pegs, and I'll show you in another video how I did that, but it really works and it really helps. So with the saddlebags and a tank bag, I'm good for a week trip. Now, if you are intending on touring with the Tuono and you haven't bought one yet, I would recommend the 1100 RR instead of the factory. I was really debating because I love the look of the factory with the nice little aerodynamic wing, definitely more racer aesthetics, but I realized when I had my saddlebag, it drapes over here. So this is very useful, having that soft seat. If you had the factory, those winglets would be scuffed like crazy, and you'll constantly have to put a towel over it, which kind of defeats the purpose. Also, if you are thinking of touring with this is definitely not a two-up type of touring motorbike. You can see from the seat how small that is. The other thing that I was considering, which I haven't done yet, is to change out the seat. Now, surprisingly, the stock seat is actually not too bad. I don't get a sore ass or feel it until about 500 kilometers. And it's bearable up to about 800. I've done 800 kilometer days on it before, and it's fine. What you could do is either get one of those AirHawk pads or a sheepskin, or of course you can go to Corbin or Sargent and get an aftermarket seat. I haven't done that. I haven't felt the need to do it. It may be my next upgrade. The other thing that you can do, because there's no heated grips, of course you can get those aftermarket, but if you're not into that, Power Bronze actually makes some handle guards, which in the cold, chilly days, if you're still riding, keeps the wind out of it a little bit better. So these are some easy mods if you're touring. Of course, USB charger is a must-have. This one's a dual with a weather protection cap. I have a phone holder that is removable, just with this clamp here. I can use it on all different bikes, but phone holder is important for GPS if you use your phone. And a RAM mount for my camera is really handy. Other than that, I have thought about heated grips especially if you're doing off-season riding, and this I love. It's called the throttle rocker if you don't know about it, but basically it allows you to put your hand rest like that on the highway and still keep your acceleration rather than having to keep the grip on your hand. On long distance trips, it makes a huge difference. Now this Aprilia Tuono actually has cruise control. So those of you who have a Tuono but don't know it, because that's like me, I didn't know how to turn it on for the first few weeks of me owning the bike. This is a dual control. So this is AWC. That's the anti-wheelie control or cruise. So you can set it in the settings configuration, in the settings to make it control the anti-wheelie control sensitivity, plus or minus, or you can just use it as cruise control, which I do. And the way to make it, I can't show it now, but because I'm not moving. But basically, if you push this down, then there will be a cruise control green icon that will show up, and then all you do is you press it again, and the green icon will stay steady. So if it's flashing, that means it's cruise control ready, but not activated. If when you press it down, it activates and it stays solid. That's how cruise control works, and it's actually really handy. Although I have this, I still use cruise control sometimes just to rest my right hand. So besides that, that's really all I did to make it touring friendly, and I've been to many places with this. I just came back from a 2-day weekend ride. I've taken it for a 5-day trip and it worked well. All right, let's look at the likes and dislikes of this motorcycle as a touring bike. And again, we're assuming that you like the sport touring side of things and you don't mind giving up a bit of comfort, because you're definitely not going to get comfort on this bike, but you will get a lot of smiles, especially in the twisties. So the likes of this bike, I really like how this bike handles, especially in the twisties. Carving those corners in the twisties, it just feels so planted and solid. It gives you so much confidence, and that is why I put up with the lack of comfort. That's the ultimate reason. Every time I debate on selling it for a more comfortable bike or not, and I take it on a long trip and the twisties comes around, that's when I say no, this is a good bike and I really like it for what it is. So it's definitely this love-hate relationship that I have with it. But the likes, yes, the performance in the corners, how it handles, amazing. Second like is the power. This delivers 175 horsepower and 125 Newton meters of torque. That is a lot of power. I have other bikes also, a Triumph Bonneville and a BMW R1200 RS. And when I ride those, I feel like, that's not bad. It's powerful, especially my RS. It delivers great. I went down to California with that bike. You can watch that here. But in the twisties in the corners, it does fine, and that delivers 125 horsepower. So I wonder, do I need 175? And really, what it boils down to is it's not a matter of necessity. It's a matter of luxury. This thing is power on tap. When you want power with that twist of the wrist, it goes. And that's what I really appreciate about it. I may never use the full 175 horsepower, but when I'm passing someone in the turns, throttling out of a turn, all of that matters and gives me instant response. And that's what I love about this bike. Okay, then of course there's the dislikes. Number one dislike is the lack of wind protection. Anything over 140, 160, you're gonna feel that buffing on your body. And I'm a smaller guy, so if you're a bigger guy, maybe you'll feel it sooner. So the lack of wind protection is my number one dislike. Number two would be the fuel range. The fuel tank on this is 18 liters, which I guess isn't super small, but depending on how hard you ride it, you really don't get much fuel mileage out of it. So the range is dependent on the rider. And for me, I usually get between 200 to 230 kilometers. So at those mileage ranges, it's not meant to be a touring bike, but I make do with it because of all the things that I like about it. The other thing probably would be the storage and the luggage options. There is none from Aprilia, so you have to look aftermarket. You either make something like what I did and use soft saddlebags. I know Hepco Becker has actually a metal frame for some side bags. The side bags though aren't big, they're actually quite tiny. They're smaller than my soft saddlebags. But there are some aftermarket options if you really want to put some saddlebags on this. Most of the time I find that a tank bag, and this is not the biggest size here, this is a Jackson rig, but you can get a bigger size. The tank bag is good enough for a weekend or a 3-day ride. So I hope you liked that video. I wanted to make a quick one to help those of you who are thinking about the Tuono as a touring bike. Like I said, it's possible. I totally tour with it. It depends what type of rider you are and what your preference is. I like the twisty, so I'm willing to put up with the discomfort. And if you're the same, then definitely consider it. There's enough aftermarket parts there to make it comfortable enough for the long distance touring. So if you like this video, please support my channel, subscribe, hit the like, and pass it to your friends. Help me grow my channel where I vlog about travel and motorcycle adventures.